Hi, this is Maginoni, and some friends and I went to Rob Zombie's Great American Nightmare. This is located in Westworld in Scottsdale, Arizona. There's ticket prices are $30, but you can get them online for $25, and there's also two levels of VIP packages. Definitely check out the website for pricing and directions in case something changes. Now, when you get to Westworld, there's like a huge, large structure. It's like a metal frame structure with a tarp, and the actual haunt is underneath that. Outside of that, there's like a little stage for bands. There's a food beverage area, and when you walk into the tarp area, it's completely dark. There's some scattered lighting here and there, and some statues, which is a shame because I really wanted to take a look at the statues, but you really couldn't get a good enough look at them. Besides the point, there's three different haunts inside. The first up is the Lords of Salem. Next is Captain Spaulding's Clown School in 3D, and the Devil's Rejects. Now, the Lords of Salem is a blackout haunt, but it doesn't start completely black. If you've seen the movie, there's parts of the movie where there's the house, and there's like the wallpaper, and then they have the cross and things like that. That's part of the beginning part. It is kind of like a maze in that you can go through multiple different doors and it leads you to different ways, but it doesn't take you that long to figure out how the maze works and to get to the blackout part. For the most part, that part's not really there to trick you. It's just there to give you a sense of environment. The blackout part is where I really have the most problem with it, because with the blackout maze, it's just basically just follow the path. There's like a red dot, and they just tell you follow the dot. And like every blackout maze I've been to like this, it's always the same thing. People don't know what to do. They freak out. They don't even move. And then the very beginning of the haunt, it's just traffic jam. Even though there's a path and they just got to go forward, they just don't move. And occasionally what will happen is we'll keep bumping into the group in front of us. Now, there are some people in there that'll try to provide some scares, and there's a couple little things in there that kind of offer a little change in the way things are working. But for the most part, this was my least favorite haunt. The actors, though, they did a great job before you get into the darkness. They look creepy, and they had that radar that they can zero in on the person who's the scaredest the most. Next up was Captain Spaulding's Clown School. Now, normally I don't like clowns. Normally I don't like 3D, but I will admit I actually enjoyed this one. See, the thing is, most haunted houses in Arizona, when they do clowns, they think it's perfectly acceptable to put a black wall and throw some paint on there. That is not how you do 3D. That is not how you're supposed to set that environment. With Captain Spaulding's Clown School, everything is painted in that neonish, fluorescent-y color. So this way, when you put on your 3D goggles, everything pops out. The walls are popping out, anything on the walls, the floor, everything. And that's the way it's supposed to be. It really makes you feel like you're in an environment versus here's a couple things that just are standing out. The actors were really good. They were a little bit more active. They got that radar and they zeroed right in the people that are scared the most. And the one other thing I really liked about this is there's a couple parts which actually provide decent scares. I won't spoil it, but it's kudos that you guys thought this out, because it was a job well done. And what really made some of that work is, again, you painted the entire room. So this way everything just blends in and everything just works. Also, the rooms were different. It wasn't just this blank room with some colors in it, or like how some people like to put dragons or comets or things like that. It was an actual environment that you're walking through, and overall this was really, really a joy to look at, and just look at the scenery. It was just so well put together. So that was a huge improvement over Lords of Salem. Now, Devil's Rejects was the one I was worried about the most, because I kept hearing the beginning part was just awful and nobody said anything after that. And I agree. The beginning to Devil's Rejects is long. You can't hear anything. Basically, what it is, it's like you're in this reenactment of police shooting at the Devil's Rejects, and you're stuck in the middle. But it just goes on and on and on and on, and you're just kind of like, can we just go to the next part, please? Because this is really boring. Nothing is really happening. I'm watching little lights flash on the walls, and I see the curtain move, and from the airsoft guns, and I see the cops shoot their guns, but nothing happens. No actor comes falling out the window or something like that. So it's just really boring. But when we got into the house, that was awesome. There's an incredible amount of attention to detail. The actors were really well, they just acted really well. They reacted to you specifically, not just a rehearsed script in some cases. And it just was even the right amount of size. Every one of these haunts, it was just the right amount of size and length that just kept me interested and didn't make me bored, except for Lords of Salem, because that's just, you're walking through darkness. But anyways, let's go back to Rejects. Also, when you're going through Rejects, they even change things up, like they have smoke, and there's some really nasty smells inside there. So it was this, it really immersive, and I liked how it just broke that safeness of walking through a haunt, and how some haunts have that museum type approach. And by museum type approach, I just mean you walk through a room and then the actors are on the side, or you're not really walking into it, you're just watching and observing. This one, you're actually going through situations, like there's people that are tied up begging for help, and it was just really well done. And for the price point, it's totally worth it. Some people, I think you're going to argue again, going, is it really scary? Well, some of the people I with were really scared. For me, I just found it really fun. Take out Lords of Salem, the other two were great, and again, they were just the right amount of length. Overall, I think it took us about 40 minutes to go through all three, and I was moving at a pretty decent pace, but we had to slow up a couple times because the people we were with got held up. The line was probably another 20 minutes or so, 20-30 minutes. Probably 30 might have been probably a bit much, but regardless, it was overall a really enjoyable haunt, and I'm really glad I went. And I hope if they do this again next year, I hope they change some of this stuff out, because I noticed that the Rob Zombie in Chicago has different haunts. So I'm hoping they get rid of Lords of Salem, they put something else in, change up Devil's Rejects at the beginning, and I'll be there. Sign me up. Anyways, if you have any comments or questions, let me know. Like, share. I'm not sure if we're going to go into any more haunts this year, because we're pretty much at the end of the month. But we'll eventually have some more videos. So until next time.